Welcome to Motivate You to Win a Circle here on this50.com. Your host, June Archer, and I'm here with another amazing guest, another human interest story that is going to, let's just say, warm your heart. And I just got to read this right, really quickly. This show, Hustle and Tow, is now premiering on A&E, and it offers viewers a rugged day in the life perspective on how tow truck drivers were depending on the call. Drivers can either be hailed as heroes or labeled as villains. It goes deep into America's unsung essential workers who perform daily under extreme dangerous conditions despite every imaginable encounter with unexpected terrain, wildlife, and weather. Today's guest is no other than the philanthropist, the activist. Please give it up for Early Walker. Early, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Listen, this story is amazing. I want to start from the top with this anonymous email that you get that says, "Hey, Early, give us an email back. Like we're trying to reach you." Take me back to that moment where you got that anonymous email to the point where you deleted it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So once again, thanks for having me. So yeah, as you said, I received the email from the network, and it was an anonymous email. Hey, we're reaching out to you. We think that you and your tow company will be a great fit for a new show we got. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Must be spam. You got these warranty emails and all this other stuff. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I didn't pay any attention to it. And about a few days later, I got another email. Same thing, but this time they had a phone number. It was like, hey, give me a call if you're interested. I think this could be a great opportunity for you and your company. So I said, all right, whatever. Let me see who's playing on my phone. And so I literally, called the number, spoke to the producer, and he was like, hey, man. He was like, no, I'm with Annie. Hey, we're shooting a new show, 20 episodes. We think that your company would be a perfect fit. And I'm talking about literally less than a week later, they were in my office.
Man, that's amazing. And what I read, man, is they literally dove into what it is that you were doing. And I want to talk about that because in these days and times, early people are hurting, man. Whether it's COVID, whether it's losing their job, their homes, they're trying to hold on to their car, right? And they're trying to find a way to pay that car note. And you have found a way to make a no way to get into people's lives and kind of intercepting some of those negative, bad moments in their lives, because all they are moments. And you've been able to, as an activist and philanthropist, your goal is to help women, children, people of color, and the war on poverty. What was it that inspired you to want to tackle all of those issues?
So I always said that if I ever got to a point in my life where I was able to do anything in any type of capacity to help my community, I would. I'm a product of the West Side of Chicago, which is a pretty impoverished area. I don't come from much. I'm grateful for my parents and upbringing. And so I had a lot of friends that were consumed from gangs, killings, shootings, and things of that nature. And so I just always said, man, if I ever got to the point of being able to help my community, I would. And I'm grateful that this tow company, my company, has allowed me to do such.
And you created this company, W&W Towing. What was the dream growing up Southside Chicago in somewhat of a underprivileged situation? How did you dream to even get to this point? We're not even talking about the show, but just being able to own your own business. What inspired you to want to own your own business?
So I come from an entrepreneurship background. My dad is actually an electrician by trade. And so it's kind of interesting because I literally ran away from that whole entrepreneur aspect. I mean, I'm talking about to the point of, I think it was because I was made to do it coming up, not knowing that actually that was a good thing. But, my dad made me go to work. Man, I didn't have the normal lifestyle of a normal kid where I was able to, go out and play after work, school or whatever the case is. I was going to work. When I got out of school, hey, do your homework. All right, after that, come on, you going with me to finish this job up. Weekends, same thing. You know what I mean? So it was to the point where it was like, man, I'm like, man, when I get old enough, I'm quitting. And so that's what I did, you know, and I thought I knew more or whatever. So I went out and I worked several different corporate jobs. I was in the law enforcement industry before, and so it was my last job, which was Board of Education, Morgan Park High School, and it was when that at that moment where I was like, you know what, I don't went through all these jobs. I don't like having a boss. And I think it was because I got so used to, in a sense, being my own boss. My dad, was really teaching me more than I actually knew or even, at that time appreciated, and so it got to the point where, he had instilled so much into me that I couldn't work for anybody else. Literally, I mean, I was trying to go to work, didn't want to get up because, when you're an entrepreneur, you make your own hours. So you don't really have any set hours. So it was like, man, forget all this. So I literally walked off the job, with a wing and a prayer, as they say. I thought I had my all my ducks in a row, and I said, hey, man, I'm gonna start a car dealership and a tow truck company. And it's funny because the car dealership actually was really what I said I was going to do, and it kind of switched a little bit because when I started the car dealership, I got tired of paying the tow truck drivers to tow my cars. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy a tow truck. I'm gonna get my own cars. Now, keep in mind, I ain't have a lick of training, lick of towing. Like I told you, I ain't come from no big towing company family. My dad didn't know nothing about towing. Matter of fact, when I told him about this, he laughed. He was like, "What?
We don't know nothing about no towing."
Yeah, matter of fact, he wanted to probably say, "You idiot." I mean, but I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get a tow truck. I'm gonna start a tow truck company." And I didn't know how much tow trucks had costed. I mean, I literally only had about $8,000 I had saved up before walking off my job. So I'm thinking in my mind, okay, I'm gonna get this tow truck. I'm thinking a tow truck only $2,000-$3,000. So I'm like, okay. So I literally, man, I spent literally pretty much all my savings. The truck was $7,500, and $7,500 in the tow industry does not get you much. That $7,500 was the only truck I can afford. But it was a raggedy old 1984 Sanford & Son truck. I mean, I'm talking about holes in the ground. I mean, I could see the ground as I'm driving. I mean, no air conditioning. Like, it was crazy, man. And so, but that's what I could afford, And so I got the truck and I started doing some networking and I was knocking on some doors. Hey, man, if you need a tow, man, I was giving tows away, man. I'm like, please, just call me. You know what I mean? And so, literally, man, I mean, I had what they call $40 hollers. I mean, I just wanted somebody to use my services. And I never forget, man, I was home at a local $40 tow. But it caught on. Shops started calling me, and I never forget. I mean, you might even know Damon Williams, the comedian. I never forget. He was one of my first real customers. And I never forget because I always thought in my mind, marketing was everything. Branding is everything in business. So one of the things I did spend my money on was automated phone system. So when you called me, you thought you was calling this big old tow company.
The big boys. You thought you called the big boys.
When I pulled up, I never forget, man. I tell the story all the time. When I pulled up, man, the look on his face, he was like, "You sure we're gonna make it?" It was one of them. He really wanted to tell me to get lost. That's really what he wanted. But he felt, I could tell he felt sorry for me. He was like, man, all right, come on. You know what I mean? And I never forget, man, he supported me. He said, keep going. And I appreciate stuff like that because it was because of people like him that literally made me keep going. And one truck led to 17 trucks, And I mean, I started my company in 2013, And so I'm literally what they would call the American Dream Company, or, I mean, get it out the mud. Like, I got it out the mud. I mean, I'm talking about it wasn't easy, but I kept going, man. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, when it's in you, it's in you. And I mean, a lot of faith in God, believing. I mean, hey, I'm here today. So,
and I'm glad you brought Damon up. Shout out to Damon. He is a great dude. I was going to ask you, have you ever had to tow or repossess a car from a celebrity?
Not tow or repossess a car from a celebrity, but I've towed celebrity cars. And it's funny because even with that, speaking of that story, so now this was a Mercedes Benz. So I'm leaving part of the story out, but this was a Mercedes Benz. So imagine somebody pulling up in a Sanford & Son raggedy tow truck. He got a Benz. So
I'll wait for the next one.
Shout out to David, because I'm telling you, man, like, he could have definitely turned me on my way, but instead, not only did he support, he posted me on his social media. He told other people to use me. And honestly, man, I give him a lot of credit, man, because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be in business today, because it was because of people like him that said, hey, man, I'm going to get this guy a shot. And that's really what it's about. And that's another reason why I do the philanthropy stuff and I give back, because it's all about creating opportunities for people that wouldn't have.
No, and that's a beautiful thing, man. Has there ever been a crazy told story that you could share with us that might have even inspired you, or you were just in a moment where you just gave of yourself and said, you know what, it's on me, or was it something crazy where you're like, I didn't expect that?
So yeah, so it's a couple of stories. So I'll give you the crazy one first. That's quick, and then I'll give you the inspirational story. So the craziest told is, I never forget. This is right when I was getting into police touring. So I do a lot of police touring for different contracts. And I never forget, the police are supposed to search the vehicles. They're supposed to go through, and I never forget, man. It's a small little, I call it hick town, that was one of my first contracts. Picked up the car, towed the car back to my yard, only to get a phone call, and it was like, hey, I'm stuck in your yard. So I'm like, what? I'm stuck in your yard. So here it is. We done towed this lady's car. The lady, I guess, had drunk too much, fell asleep in the car, and woke up and was stuck in the yard. So she didn't know where she was at. She looking around, and the dogs barking. So we got dogs in the yard. So she looking like, oh, man. So she literally in the car stuck. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm thinking somebody broke in the yard. She like, I'm in your yard. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. So that was crazy. And then inspirational, I'll never forget, I started my business in 2013. This was 2014. So a year later, I had just bought my second tow truck, and I'll never forget. Actually, the truck wasn't even new. It was a 2003. It was an upgrade from Sanford and Son, so I was happy about that. But I'll never forget, man. I was in a huge winter storm, driving on my way home. This was actually Christmas Eve, and I'll never forget. It was a lady that was stuck in the middle of the street. So I pulled over. I get out. She's in a minivan, and I never forget, this lady was crying in tears. And so I knocked on the window. I said, ma'am, you okay? You're in the middle of the road. You blocking traffic. And she looked back. She saw I was in my tow truck. She said, go ahead. I don't have no money. Just go ahead. I'll figure it out. I said, well, ma'am, if you leave this truck here, if you leave this van here, you're going to get towed. I'm like, and you're going to have to pay. She said, so she bust out crying again. She said, well, I don't have the money. So I just have to figure it out. I mean, I looked back. Her kids was in the car. And so I said, you know what? I'll tell you what, ma'am. Come on. I'm going to tell you. She said, sir, I don't have any money. I said, it's fine. Come on. So I threw her in the car, threw her kids in the car, towed the car. She wasn't too far away. And literally at this particular time, man, she gets to breaking out crying again. I said, it's going to be okay. I'm towing your car for free, And so she said, no, this is one of the worst Christmases of my life. I wasn't able to get any gifts for my children. I just got laid off my job. And I just, I'm just really in a bad place, sir. I just want to say I appreciate you. Thank you. And so that hit me, man. I was like, man, I'm like, at this time I had just had a little girl, my first child, man. And I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have much. I mean, this was my second year in business, but it just hit me because I was like, wow, like, here is these kids in the back, and they sleep. They don't even know what's going on, and all I could think about in the back of my head was like, wow, man, like, every Christmas, no matter what me and my family went through, we had a Christmas, and my parents made sure of that. And I couldn't imagine, like, these kids was trying to wake up tomorrow with nothing. No gifts, no toys, no nothing, man. So that hit me. So when I dropped her off, I literally left instantly, went to the local store, Walmart, grabbed her a tree, grabbed some toys, came back, knocked on the door, and I surprised her. And I said, hey, Merry Christmas. And literally the kids were screaming. She was in tears. And it was literally then is when I said, you know what, this is my calling. This is why I started this company. This is the mission of this company. And I've been going strong ever since, man. And I mean, literally every year I do a Christmas giveaway. We do all different types of turkey giveaways now. But it was because of that story. It was because of that lady. And it's funny because I don't even remember her name or any of that, man. It's just like that always stuck with me, to use my company as a way of blessing and helping others. And I've been doing that ever since.
And I hope with this show, man, that you two may possibly be reunited, man. I think it will be something so great. Because I see this thing is gonna get renewed early. I'm just putting it out there right now. It's gonna get renewed, and you're gonna have a couple seasons because your steps are ordered, brother. What is the biggest misconception that people may have of tow truck drivers?
So it's a couple. So we'll go with I'll go with the funny first. I think people think that all tow truck drivers are dirty. We ain't all dirty, you know what I mean? But anyway,
No, because I saw a clip of the show and I said, hold up, Early got a night. He gets shape up is sharp. Like he is sharp. Sharp. That boy, he just left the barber chair and went right to the truck.
So that's number one. And then I'll say I think they think all tow truck guys are the bad guys. And I think that we have to understand everyone has a job in this world. And that's exactly what it is. This is how I make my living. This is how I feed my family. Guess what? This is how I help my community. And so I think we as people have to stop judging, different professions labeled bad. I mean, whether it's police, whatever it is. I mean, because there's a lot of jobs that are looked down upon, but guess what? We the good guys when you stuck on the side of the road and you got a nail in your tire or your car overheating or whatever, and so that's how you got to look at it, is that these guys are just doing their job.
I want to talk about one important piece that you mentioned early is what your dad instilled in you. And you talk about this journey of job to job and trying to figure out this career path, only to find yourself falling in love with this and finding your calling, even when you didn't want to do it. What was the most valuable lesson that you got from your dad that you may share with somebody now, or every once in a while you think back to the story or that moment, you be like, wow, that's because of my dad?
I'm gonna say it's a couple of things. I think number one is definitely my entrepreneurship spirit. I mean, I actually love business. I love creating new ideas. I love watching new ideas flourish. And so I mean, I will say it would not be a WW Tour without my dad, Frank, because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for him instilling those values, hard work, dedication, going to work when you don't feel like it. Literally, I'm talking about, man, I used to be teed off, literally getting up 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Man, what 13-year-old got to get up to go to work at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning on a weekend? You know what I mean? Like, look, it wasn't none of them playing them games. Wasn't none of that. I mean, then it was Super Nintendo was out, Nintendo, Sega Genesis. Now, listen, I had all of that, but guess what? I couldn't do none of that until I went to work. Here it is, my friends getting up, they playing the games all day, shooting basketball, going to the park. I couldn't do none of that. It was work. And I didn't understand it then, but now I do, because at the end of the day, that's what life is about. It's about never stopping. It's about never giving up. And he was instilling those values in me that I really didn't, and I know even to this day, he probably think, man, my son, though, but no, I get it now. I get it now, because then I couldn't stand him. I mean, I probably said some stuff that he probably would have kicked because, old school, you got whoopings. You know what I'm saying?
Old school. That's for real.
But today, I mean, I'm definitely humble. I definitely understand it. I definitely get it now, because, I mean, honestly, truly, that's what this generation needs. This generation needs more of that upbringing, of kids being made to go to work, trades, because at the end of the day, everybody's not cut out for college. Everybody's not cut out for school. And so you have to be able to have something else to fall back on. And so, although I did not go in that particular path, I did go in the entrepreneurship path. Then the other part of it is my dad was a giver. My parents were huge givers, man. Man, another crazy story. Every Christmas, you think we was getting up to open up gifts? No. As they say, nah, bro. Nah. We was at Cook County Jail every Christmas with Reverend Jesse Jackson. So every Christmas, Jesse Jackson would go to the Cook County Jail, and they would have service there. And so, man, you want to talk about teed off? Daddy, all my friends is opening up their gifts right now. We got to get up early in the morning. You got to get up 4, 5 o'clock in the morning just to get there on time, because they got to pat you down and go through everything. Man, you want to talk about mad? You want to talk about angry? But once again, that taught me to be grateful for everything that you have. And that's what he wanted to show me. He wanted to show me, hey, you know what? Although we got these gifts, before you can open these gifts, we finna go and we finna see to these people that can't get gifts. They can't see their family. They can't see their kids. Because at the end of the day, although they're incarcerated, all of them aren't guilty. All of them didn't commit the crimes that they were accused of. And so this is where you can be. This is how your life can be. And so it's all about taking lessons, man. So I never forget stuff like that. I mean, growing up, I didn't understand. I was mad. I was teed off. I'm like, man, we in the jail on Christmas. You know what I mean? But now I understand it, man. I mean, giving to the homeless, going to the Salvation Army, giving out soup. You know what I mean? And so, like, those were things that I didn't understand, but I get it now. I get it now, and it's all a part of why I am the person I am today.
And with the good, there's always some bad. How dangerous is your profession?
Oh man, so we'll talk about both parts. I mean, so first of all, let's talk about literally every 6 days a tow truck operator is killed. A lot of individuals don't know that. They don't know those statistics, but every 6 days, a tow truck operator is killed, which, I mean, I love the fact that this show brings a lot of that out. We talk about the move over law. We talk about how it's important to the tow operators because although, people will ride down up and down the highways, they'll see the police officers, they'll move over. They'll see the fire truck, they'll move over. They'll see the ambulance, they'll move over. They see the tow truck, zoom, right back. Literally, I was just reading early this morning, a tow truck operator lost his life to a semi, driving down the side of the expressway, didn't see him, ran him over. And so those are the types of things that we as individuals, we don't pay attention to. We don't think about we don't think about that, man, the tow truck driver is on the side of the highway. The tow truck driver is on the side of the road. The tow truck driver is risking his life, and then also we've got the instances where we're doing our jobs and you get, knucking your buck. That's what I'm going to say. Come out with their guns. You ain't towing my car. You ain't touching it. You ain't, so that's when we're the bad guy. And at the end of the day, we're just doing our jobs, but we shouldn't have to put our lives on the line to just do our job. Whatever it is. I mean, I don't do repoing. We do a lot of police towing. So that gets pretty crazy as well. But I mean, even to the guys that do repoing, they're just doing their jobs. It ain't their fault that you didn't pay your car note.
Right.
It ain't their fault. But yet, here it is. I've seen people get shot at, guns drawn on them. And a lot of that stuff you're going to see in the show as well, where it's real life drama, and so that's what I do love about this show is that nothing in this show is fake. Everything you see in this show is real. You're seeing the raw. I mean, from different cast members across the world. So you get different demographics, different nationalities. You're getting it from everyone, every race. You'll see what they go through in the industry. And we all have it. We all have it hard. We all have it tough.
How was it filming, man? Like, I know at first in that situation when you're talking about reality TV, it's kind of hard to get used to the cameras. But for you, how was the experience with you and your staff being able to portray who you guys are to really let people know exactly who you are in terms of what Early does for his community, not just the owner and CEO of WW Towing?
So one of the unique things about this is, so now I did leave this part out. So the network, when I spoke to him, he told me, he said, hey, man, I saw an article that Black News did on you. He was like, and I love the fact that you give back to the community. He said, we've never saw a tow truck operator do as much as you do in the community. And he felt like that was unique. So that was what kind of caught their attention. So I said that to say, I love the fact that they allowed us to be us. It wasn't nothing was scripted. I ain't have to be somebody else. They wanted us. They wanted the whatever it is. The customers. They wanted. And actually shout out to them as well, the network, because they're actually giving us one full episode that's just deals with the philanthropy that we've done in Chicago. And so I'm excited about that because the world gets to see that, man, all tow truck operators aren't bad guys. All tow truck operators aren't out just to get rich off of its community and go back, so no, I'm in it. I'm out here. I'm putting myself on the line, not just in the tow truck, but in the front line as well. I started a non-for-profit called I'm Telling Don't Shoot. I'm Telling Don't Shoot is a group of business owners that I'm compiling together basically to combat violence. We put our dollars up. When one of these knuckleheads shoot one of our babies, 1-year-old, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, I'm stepping up. Here go 5,000. Here go 10,000. Here go 20,000. Let's find this killer, because we too many times in the world we find everyone pointing fingers, pointing the blame. It's the police fault. It's the mayor's fault. It's the city council fault. Well, look in the mirror. What are you doing to combat this? What are you doing to fight this crime? And literally, when I launched this, everybody was like, "Man, you crazy." It was like, dude, you putting dollars on these fools' heads. And I was like, somebody got to do it. Somebody has to step up and say enough is enough. Somebody has to step up and say, I love my kid. Because guess what? Today is your child. It could be mine tomorrow.
Right, right. And we have to hold each
Now,
other accountable. We have to hold each
exactly,
other accountable.
exactly. And that's my point, is that I don't want it to get to the point where something happens to my child. Now I'm stepping up crying. I'm stepping up talking about, oh my God, I can't believe. No, I'm going to try to do something to end this now. Because this whole no snitch code, put the guns down, it ain't working. It ain't working. So it's up to us to step up and say, okay, I'm going to do my part. And if everybody did just a little, we will see a change.
I truly believe that, man. And people are going through some stuff. We've been talking about it at the top of the interview. What is the best piece of advice you've been given that you could share with those who are watching and listening today that will allow them to see the light at the end of the tunnel?
I would say don't stop. Never give up on your dreams. I would say what you might look at as an idea today can be a reality tomorrow. And I am a firm believer. I am literally the example of that. You could not have told me that a West Side kid from the West Side of Chicago, growing up not having much, would be in the position I am today. And I mean, I'm not by no means rich, no means, and that's what a lot of people be looking to. I ain't rich. And that's another testament that you don't have to be rich to give back to your community.
Mm.
And that's something else that, these celebrities, these entertainers that are out here, you got a lot of them that are doing stuff, but you got some that don't do anything. Right. It shouldn't be where you got a small businessman in Chicago doing more than some of these millionaires, some of these billionaires. And that's my thing, is to bring attention to it and call them out. So if I were to give any type of word of advice, it would be to never quit your dreams, never stop, whatever you want to do. Write it down and make it happen. If you take that leap, take that jump. A lot of people are scared. I was scared. Man, listen, you don't even understand what was going on in my mind for me to walk off of my job. I had a child on the way. Had a baby on the way, had just recently been married. I'm divorced now, but she probably mad. But anyway, anyway, my fiance now, she like, woo, you was crazy, girl. But anyway, shout out to my baby Tia. All right, so anyway, all right, I did it. All right, okay. Anyway, so
what up, Tia? What up,
right,
Tia?
Right. If I ain't doing, so you know how they be. But anyway, but I will say, at the end of the day, everything that I wanted, I went after and I got it, and God gave it to me. And so I feel like that's something that's important, because a lot of times, unfortunately, we are our own biggest critics. We'll talk ourselves out of our own dreams. We'll talk ourselves out of our passions. We'll talk ourselves out of what we could have. And at the end of the day, we are the ones that will make whatever it is happen. You just got to get out here and get it.
2013 is when you started. Now you have a show which is going to be a hit series. What continues to motivate you, Early?
I would say it's my family. I've got 3 daughters, 1 son. And no bias, but my son, when I look at him, I look at me. We just celebrated his 2nd birthday yesterday, man. And just watching him, it's like, I don't want him to have to go through some of the things I had to go through. I don't want him to go through some of the struggles I had to go through. Although, so I didn't go to these Ivy League college, Ivy League school. I ain't got all these degrees, all these plaques, none of that. But would that have helped? Possibly. I want him to be able to have the options. I don't want it to be to where he can't do certain things because he didn't have it.
Right.
And so my motivation is my kids. My motivation is my family. My motivation is my fiance, happiness, joy, being able to get up and use this brain that God gave me to create another idea and hopefully try to do something more to save the world.
No, that's a beautiful thing, man. I always like to ask my guests, music is a soundtrack to our lives. What song best represents your journey up to this point, or what artist embodies your journey up to this point? Because you have a lot of life left to live. Which artist or what song do you embrace for your journey?
So I'll say it's definitely going to be gospel. I don't necessarily have one particular artist. I'm old school, man. So if I were to say an artist, it would definitely have to be a gospel artist. I mean, Donnie McClurkin. I mean, even Kirk Franklin, man, he's got a lot of hits out, man. But whenever I get discouraged or I'm having a tough battle with something, or I mean, I literally I go to gospel, I mean, it used to probably would have been R. Kelly, but unfortunately, we can't say him right now. So, but I will say this, man. Although, and I might have some critics behind this, although my man is, I will say this, man. He's still one of the greats musically. Musically, man, you can't take it away from the man.
He's a genius. You can't take that away from him.
Musical genius, man. But it's all about uplifting and inspiration, man. I mean, you've got a lot of good artists out here. Drake. I mean, 50 Cent. I mean, a lot of music. I'm old school, man. So I don't like all that too short. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like all that. I mean, don't get me wrong. No shade against the new school. Because, I mean, I love doing the Junebug Challenge. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to bringing me back in, and I got to go old school. You know what I mean? Because that's where I feel like the meaning and your heritage is from, man. You actually get some life. I need some life. I need old school songs talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
They spoke to your soul. They dealt with real life issues. It wasn't just about bang bang and shoot a shit. It was, you know what I'm saying? You actually feeling the song and being a part of that song, and they talked about their lives and what they were going through on a daily basis.
Yeah, that old school hits a little different early. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. Hustle and Toe.
They got it. They had to get it from Hustle and Flow. So
had to. Hustle and Toe. Tuesdays on A&E. You're gonna see my guy Early. Early's gonna be on it, making his magic happen. Please tune in, like it, love it, share it with people. Early said it best, man. When you find something that you love, it's not even gonna feel like work. And there's some foundational things that you're gonna get from your parents or people who come before you, who tread those waters before you. Embrace it. That's where you're gonna find your journey. But doesn't matter. Early said it. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much money you make. You can always find a way to give back, reach back, pull up, inspire, motivate people. He has 3 children. That's his motivation.
4.
Find what you're for. Find your motivation. And one other thing, Early, sometimes things don't work out. Yeah, you might have gotten a divorce, but you didn't stop. He told you, his words of wisdom was, don't stop. And he found someone else to fall in love with who supports him, who's behind him 100%. Because sometimes we don't realize these women are the pillars of our community. They are the backbone of our communities and our families.
Absolutely.
Early, where can we find you? How can we follow you? How can we support you?
Yeah, so definitely I'm on Instagram at Mr. Early Walker, common spelling, like early in the morning. I got joked and teased about it, so don't talk about me. Also, my company is on Instagram as well, WW Towing. You can also find me on Facebook at Mr. Early Walker fan page. And I did not create this page, the network did, so please don't think that I'm a celebrity or any of that. But anyway, at Mr. Early Walker fan page on Facebook. Follow me, Twitter, Mr. Early Walker as well. And I just want to say thank you again for having me, man. I appreciate it, man. And this was awesome.
Man, it was dope. Stay right there, Early. Ladies and gentlemen, this is June Archer, your host. The Winner Circle motivates you here. This is 50.com. Thank y'all for tuning in. Share it, like it, love it. And please tell somebody you love them today. Tomorrow's not promised. One of the things that happens is people say life is short. But in these days and times, life is shorter. You may not have the opportunity to tell that person you love them again. So don't allow that moment to pass. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless y'all. Peace.